everyone, it's Vicky and welcome back to another video. Recently, I played chess with my friend Sam Watson, an insanely talented Olympic rock climber who holds the world record for speed climbing, and it just so happens that he loves chess. So we decided to schedule a session together where I taught him some opening strategies, and then we played 2 games which I will share with you today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more fun chess content. Now let's get started. The first game we played was a Blitz Match, and to give some context, Sam started playing chess in 2022 and was 1100 when we played these games, but has since then improved a lot, and as you will also see, he is very underrated for his rating. So he started with d4, I went knight f6, and then he went bishop f4, which is the Lenin system. I recommended this to him because I think it's a great opening at all levels, and you get a really solid setup with very easy play. I went for d5 and then a bishop g7 setup, and we just continued developing. I castled, he went bishop d3. I went for c5, he continued developing his other knight, and I went knight c6. Here he took the pawn on c5, which is an inaccuracy because he's ruining his pawn structure a little bit, and because of that, I decided to go rook e8. Which the engine gives a mistake. I think that's a little harsh, but the best move here instead was just to go knight d7 to attack this pawn on c5 directly. But instead I went rook e8, and then he went queen c2, which is a blunder because I can go e5 and I'm attacking the bishop, which means he has to move it. He went bishop g5. Now I can go e4, forking the knight and the bishop, so he has to lose one of those pieces. I think what he played was the best continuation for him. First he took the pawn with his knight, I took back, and then he took the pawn with his bishop. So he got 2 pawns for the piece, plus he has this extra pawn over here. So right now the material is equal. I went for what felt like the simplest approach. I just took the bishop with my rook. I can't take with my knight obviously because then my queen would hang. But anyway, I took the bishop, and then he found the best move here, which is an intermezzo move of taking my knight. And if I were to recapture the knight, let's say with my bishop, then he would be able to take my rook, and I didn't really want that to happen. But actually the best move here for me was to go rook to e3 check. He has to take, and then here I take with the queen, and even though he has a +1 material edge right now, I have really solid compensation. And for example, my bishop's gonna get out here to attack the queen. I'm gonna get my rook into the game, and his pawns are really weak, so I have a great position. But I did not go for that. I went for the materialistic approach. So instead, I went for queen to e8 to preserve my rook. He took on g7, which is a great move. Now my king is a little bit weaker because it's exposed to some diagonals along here. So he went for castling, which is always good. You always want to castle, which sometimes I forget, and I delay castling and it ends up not being great. Anyway, I went for bishop f5 to put more pressure on this queen. He played c4, and here the best move would just be to take this pawn on e3 because then I'd be attacking the queen with my bishop. But I got a little bit scared for my king, so I just wanted to play more safe, and I moved my king back to g8, which is an inaccuracy, but it's still a fine move. Now he played queen b3 to attack my b7 pawn. I put my rook back to defend it. The best move would have been to defend it with my queen, but oh well. Now he went for knight g5. Keep in mind now we're under 3 minutes, so all of these moves are gonna be not the best. I went knight e5. I think my plan here was probably just to centralize my knight, maybe go knight d3 or bishop d3 in the future. Now he pushed his pawn to f4, which is a little bit of a weakening move because this pawn on e3 is no longer defended. I went for knight to c3. He played rook a to d1, and here I just took this free pawn on c5 whilst attacking the queen. Now he moved the queen to b4, and then I play knight e4 to try and trade the knight since I'm up in material right now. He went c5, so I gladly took the knight. He took back, and I went queen c6 just to stop this pawn from ever pushing. Now he went for rook d to e1 to protect his pawn. I doubled my rooks, and we just did some more maneuvering over here. I took the pawn on a2, and I just rerouted my queen. My goal here was just to trade queens because we were both so long in time. I didn't want to somehow blunder checkmate. For example, if this pawn somehow got here and then his queen got here, that would have been checkmate. I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't want to risk anything, so I wanted to trade queens no matter what. So I kept on trying to trade queens. He kept on moving his queen, which was really annoying. Here, I still kept on trading queens. I had 18 seconds. I could have just taken this rook here, but this was like the pragmatic approach. So he took, I took. And here we both had like 10 seconds left. He was playing really quickly, and that kind of stressed me out because I was really low on time, and we just kept on playing quickly. I had 3 seconds to his 4 seconds over here, and I checkmated him with 1 second on the clock. So that was quite a close game. But overall, I think he played quite well. It was unfortunate that he blundered a piece in the opening, but he ended up getting 3 pawns for it, which is still great compensation. So it was still a very dynamic game. Now moving on to our second game, we decided to play a 10-minute rapid game since we both enjoy longer time controls, which is kind of funny because he plays in the fastest Olympic sport. But anyway, I decided to go d4, and you're not going to guess what I'm playing this time. It's the London system. And he went for a copycat system, which is going bishop f5 and sort of mimicking me. And this is quite solid against the London, since the London is known to be a less aggressive opening, so he has time to do all of these maneuvers copying me. So I went for e3, he went e6, I went knight f3, he went knight f6, and now I went c4. And the purpose of this move is to eventually bring my queen out to b3 and attack this pawn on b7. So here he played c6. I decided to develop my knight first with knight c3, and now he went knight e4. And this is a mistake according to the engine. I think that's a little harsh because it's not a bad move. It doesn't lose anything necessarily. I think the reason why the engine says it's a mistake is because he moved his knight twice in the opening, and instead he hasn't moved this knight in the back and this bishop yet, so that would have probably been another move he could have done. But anyway, I went queen b3 to attack this pawn on b7 like I mentioned earlier. He went b6 to defend it, and now I went bishop e2, which for some reason is a mistake. Apparently, according to the engine, my best move was to take this pawn, and if he took back, I was supposed to take this knight. And after he takes back, I'm supposed to put my knight in the center over here just to control some squares, attack this. But I didn't want to give up my bishop for the knight, so I probably would never have found this. So instead, I played my move, bishop e2, which is still fine. I guess white is a tiny bit better, but it looks mostly like a level position. Now he took my knight, I took back with the pawn just because I wanted to keep my queen on this file over here. Now he developed his knight. I finally took the pawn in the center, and after he took back, I was able to put my bishop on b5. And now he played the best move here, which is going a6. I put my bishop back, but I should have just played bishop c6. I was kind of hallucinating here. I thought that I wouldn't be able to trap or win the rook because he could have just gone rook a7. But then I missed that I could have just gone knight e5, and now I'm gonna win the rook because next I'm gonna take this knight, and then after the rook takes, I'll take with the bishop, the queen takes, and then I can take this pawn over here. Oops. I can take this pawn at the end of all of that, and I'd be winning an exchange and a pawn. So I completely missed that somehow. I just wanted to play it safe again, so I moved my bishop back here. And now he played g6, which is considered an inaccuracy. I guess now he blocks his bishop from going back, but I think that's a fine move. I played h3, and we continued developing our pieces, castling. I went a4. I wanted to do some sort of minority attack with my one pawn against his two pieces, but here's when things started to get a little bit interesting. So Sam played knight f6. I put my knight in the center. He did the same. I defended my pawn another time with my rook. And now he is able to take my knight with his bishop. I took back, and I thought I was pretty happy with this because now he just weakened all of his dark squares, and now he went for a move that I didn't expect, which is queen g5. His threat currently is to capture this pawn on h3, and I can't take back because my king is pinned. With this queen, it would just take my king. So now I decided to go bishop f4, which is apparently a mistake because he can go queen h4, and he renews more threats. His threat right now is to go and take this pawn on f2 and start a devastating attack against my king. Here I thought for a while, I thought for about a minute and a half, and I went for rook f1, which is the best move because I had to protect this pawn on f2. I can't lose it. And here he went knight d2, which wins in exchange, but I thought I had some solid compensation. The engine says it's about equal still. I took the pawn on b6, he took my rook, I took back with my bishop because I wanted to keep my rook on this rank. And here he went f6. I think the idea with this move is to maybe start a pawn storm on the king side, but this allowed me to crucially take this pawn on a6 with my bishop, and now I have a passed pawn that is well on its way to promoting. So he continued with g5, I moved my bishop back, attacking the queen. He moved his queen, and we played a few more moves, which went like this. I kept on trying to attack, and ultimately my goal was just to push my a pawn as quickly as possible while making sure that I don't get checkmated. So I took this pawn, and I went back with my queen. So now this bishop is pinned to the king, and he has one less attacker. Now I just kept on pushing my pawn, and I promoted it. So he had to take, I took back, and the game ended when he went queen c7 because I just took the queen. It's funny because I told him after the game that I was thinking of putting my own queen on that square before I saw his queen over there. But overall, I'm really impressed with how Sam played. I told him that he was very underrated because even though we had an 1,000-point rating difference, he played super well and put up a strong fight in all of our games. That's all for today's video. It was a pleasure playing with Sam, and hopefully we'll have another rematch soon. But in the meantime, please go support him in all his upcoming competitions. Let me know what you thought of this video, and until next time, bye!